we are live. Let's get this here. Now, bear with me. I'm trying to get this to go. It's saying orientation locked. I'm not a fan of that, so let's do this. Let's switch this. Nope, still doing it. Okay. Let's do this. All right. All right, let's get a little view over here. All right. Okay, for today's live, what we're going to do, we are going to design a phone stand. So we're going to go real simple. We'll do generally the same design that I just printed recently, the little swooping design. The goal is just to show you that whatever you have in mind, any kind of thoughts or ideas for projects, just get right into your CAD or start with a sketch first if you have to, but get right in there, start designing and start printing things. The only way you get better at this is by repetition, by doing it. So let's do it. Let's get into this. I'm going to pan this camera down onto the iPad so you guys have a full visual of what's going on. And I've got some good audio today, so at least it doesn't sound like crap with the cheap headphones. Let's do it. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, bear with me if this isn't exactly 100%. Okay. Okay, cool. So first step here, let's get this to where you guys can actually see this really well. All right, so the first step, you're going to open up your CAD software, whatever that is. For right now, I'm using Shaper 3D solely for the purpose of being able to use the tablet with the pen, right? You can use virtual digital pens and all that with Fusion 360 as well. I don't have any of that right now. I just have this, so we'll go with this. All right, so let's start with a sketch. We're going to start on our lower plane here. Simple sketch, we're going to go with a circle, and we're going to go out 100. So we're going to do, well, we'll go 110. So we'll go 55 and 55. It's showing, actually no, for circle it's going to be 110 all the way because that's the entire shape of the circle. Okay, cool. We've got our circle shape. Now, what I like to do for my next layer, and this is something I recently learned, is I'm going to add a second plane. I'm going to add another construction plane and elevate that plane far above this circle. So let's hit another construction plane. We're going to use the flat one. We're going to hit next, and we're going to bring that up. Let's say we bring that up to about 100. We got to go a little higher. Yeah, we'll go to 100, and then we're going to do one more plane on top of that. But first, let's get our circle. So we know the dimensions of our charging puck, our little charging wire. So this is what we're doing. We're building one of those wireless chargers. Right now we know the hockey puck, the charging puck, is 58.50 millimeters wide, and it's 9 millimeters deep. Now, things of note, if you go all the way down to 9 millimeters, it is going to be completely flush. Now, there's two drawbacks to having the hockey puck, the actual charging puck, completely flush, and I'll go into that once we get there. But right now we're going to go, if our puck is 58.5, I'm going to go to 58.75. I want a little bit of flexibility when I'm pushing it in. So that's going to be the dimension of the actual hockey puck, the charging puck. So let's get this right here. We're going to hit sketch, and we're going to do a smaller circle. We're going to go about 80. So it brings that down, the size. And hopefully you guys are able to see this good. Okay, so now you can see we've got our lower plane here. We've got our elevated plane. I'm going to do one more. I'm sure there's ways where some people have super fancy ways of tricks and, to multiply, copy and paste and this and that. This is for general use and for people who are just getting started like myself. Okay, we're going to add another construction plane. We're going to go back down on this axis. We're going to hit next, and we're going to elevate this one up to about 130. Let's take this up to 130, and keep in mind that's not the set height we're going to be at, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, we've got plane number one. We've got a 110 millimeter circle on the bottom. Plane number two, that's sitting at 100 millimeters above the first plane. That's 80 millimeters wide, and then our last circle here is going to be a touch bigger than the charging puck. So if our charging puck measures in at 58.5, we know we want to keep it close to that, but we need to have enough room for the cabling underneath. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. That's where I had a lot of issues over the past couple of designs, making sure that the routing of the cable doesn't interfere with the actual hole that I'm extruding in, but also you'll see what I'm talking about. You have to make a valley for this wire to run through. So let's do one more circle on this plane. Let's make sure we're on the right plane. Sketch. We're going to do one more circle. Let's say we put this circle at 70. Okay, so now we've got our 3 circles, but they're straight up and down. There's no shape to these. There's no design to them. So how I manipulated the shape here was I exit sketch. I hit my second circle, and I'm going to go on to move, rotate. Now I'm going to start to bring that shape to life, right? I want to have some sort of tilt to this body. And I also want to be able to put this in a position in such a way where it's not going to go too tall, but it's also going to look pretty cool. Okay, so that's pretty much right where I want to be for this circle here. Deselect, we're going to go to the next one. We're going to hit move, rotate. Now we're going to rotate this one almost a full 90-degree rotation. So let's go to 90, and we'll look at it from the side, and we'll kick it back some. Let's say we go, what is that, 80, I think. I think 75 will be a better choice for me. So, okay, now you see we've got to bring this one forward. So let's do that. Let's bring this one forward on the plane here. And what we'll do, we'll bring this one back some. Nope, we'll bring that one back. Now watch, you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's bring this one back a little bit. Back just a touch, a little past this axis. So we want some of the lofting that we're going to be doing. Now I can already tell that this disc is a little too high, so let's move this one down a little bit. And our angles are going to be really good. I think this is going to work well. Okay, cool. We've got our 3 circles. We designed our circles by building the first plane. I'm sorry, not building. We designed our first circle on the very first flat plane there. Then we added 2 more construction planes, one at 100 millimeter, one at around 130. But at the end of the day, we wound up manipulating them afterwards. So we got our circles, we've got a 110 circle, we've got an 80, and we've got a 70. Then what we did was we highlighted our circles and we hit the move, rotate, we adjusted our positions. Now we are ready to loft this feature. Now check this out. When you hit this lower plane and you hit more, then you hit loft. Now this is going to connect all of these pieces. It's really cool. When I started doing this, I was like, this is one of the coolest features ever. Cool. So we've got our general shape right there. Now on my design, the one I did, I kind of twisted this a little bit, made it a little, kind of funky looking. We'll give a little twist. We're not going to go too crazy here. And we'll do maybe one little twist here just to kind of make a little bit of a swoop on the top there. You can see it's starting to do a little bit of a turn there. Nothing too crazy. And we're done. Boom. There's our shape. Look at that. So now we have our shape. Okay, but we still need our 58.50 cutout for our hockey puck charger, right? So how are we going to do that? Easily. We're going to go to this surface here, and now we're going to hit sketch. Now we're going to draw that 58.5 millimeter circle for the charging puck, but keep in mind, for this to be a snug fit, if you went 58.50, you're going to really be forcing this thing in here and possibly damaging your charger. So take it up a point, take it up a point quarter, right? So we're going to go 0.25 higher, which brings us up to 58.75. So let's get our circle here. We're going to go to 58.75. Boom. We've got our circle. Now we need to take this in. Now remember what I mentioned about the hockey puck charger is 9 millimeters deep. Now, if you go 9 millimeter deep, it's going to be completely flush and it's going to give some resistance. I'm using the phone here for the live, so I can't show a phone for demonstration, But most people have phone cases, phones have camera bumps, all this stuff. So you need to be able to have a little bit of flexibility, meaning the charging puck cannot go in all the way unless you're running your phone naked, which most people don't do. For argument's sake, let's say every phone is the same and every phone needs 2 millimeter distance for that charging puck to even activate, right? So let's just go 7 mil in. So we'll go -7. That's going to bring us down. All right, we've got our shape now. We still have to worry about the wire. What are we going to do about the charging wire itself? Do you want the charging wire just to be sitting out? No, of course not. You want it through the body. You want it to look good. You want it to look, well, also you don't want to see the wire. The whole idea of wireless charging is to not see any wires. So now what we need to do is we need to do another construction plane. I'm sure you can use one of the planes you've already created. For argument's sake, for the ease of this tutorial here, we're just going to create another one. So what I like to do is I like to go off of this, forget XYZ, I'm not really sure, it's the Z-axis. So we're going to go off the Z-axis, we're going to hit next, we're going to bring this plane all the way past the body. So if you can see the plane here, we've got good sight on the plane, it's past the body by a decent amount. Now we're going to hit done. Okay, well how are we going to sketch up here if the plane is all the way down here? We're just going to move the plane. So let's hit this plane, we'll drag it up a touch. Now we're getting into the level of where we're starting to bore the hole here. Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to bring this just in like this so I can see what's going on. I'm going to move this plane even closer. I'm going to move it a touch up like this. And that should be good enough for me to get started. Now, keep in mind, these hockey pucks, the wire doesn't come from the bottom. It comes from one of the edges of that circle. In this case, there is a very, very sharp bend that you need to create to get that wire to go past this shape. That had been one of the biggest challenges that I faced this week messing around with this. So let's get this actually just a little closer. Nothing wrong with it being almost like touching. I'm going to tilt it to it matches the same angle, or roughly the same angle as the body, if you can see that. The plane is now facing a very similar angle to the body that I have. Cool. Now let's hit sketch. Okay. We know the end of this plug, the end of the USB-C plug on that particular charging puck is roughly 12 millimeters wide. And this one is 10, the other one is 12. Keep in mind, this is not an Apple brand, it's a different brand, so we have to go a little wider to even get our plug to go through the hole that we're making now. So for argument's sake, let's just say this said 12, just like the hockey pucks I have. So we've got 12, and then you have your height. The height on this is 4. I believe the height on the other one is, I believe the height was, 6 or 8. Now, check this out. When you're turning this in this body here, this is going, unless you punch a hole straight through the back here, then the wire's not going to do any turning or manipulating or anything. But the way I want to have this wire, and I would imagine yourself as well, you're going to want to have the wire that plugs into the charging brick at the end of your, where your outlet is. You're going to want that plug way down on the bottom. You're not going to want it way up top because that kind of takes away from the design and takes away from the look of the wireless charger. One thing that I've been saying repeatedly, and I'll say it again, is the whole idea is to have it look good with nothing on it. Meaning, when there's no phone on it, does it look cool? I mean, I really like the design of this. Sitting on the desk here with no pens in it, it has a really cool, pleasant look. Not really good with these colors. I think this would have been better in a different color. And I have the new version coming up with an updated holes and a couple of other for Allen keys and such. But the idea is to make something that looks good with nothing on it. So that's where we're at with these phone chargers here, and where I've been really trying to progress my design and my skill level by continually tweaking. So let's exit, let's go back to this plane, let's hit sketch. All right, so if we have a measurement of 12 millimeters wide and about 8 millimeters high on the plug end, keep in mind I'm going to want to make a manipulation. I'm going to want to have to turn this in the body somewhere. So you're going to need a little bit more than 12. So what I've been doing is I've been making my hole 14 by 14. Very easy, Simple hole to make, and we're going to go to center rectangle to do that. Let's get our 13, 14. We've got 10, 12, 13, 14. Okay, we've got 14 by 14 on our square there. Exit sketch. All right, now, if we just bore this thing right through, look what it does. See how it makes a cut right at the bottom here? And now it's starting to cut into the bottom of our design. We do not want that. We don't want any holes anywhere, so hit back. We're going to take this square and we're going to move it. Now that we did our plane, so we can actually delete that plane. Not delete it, we can just get it out of our sight. Get that sight, get that bad boy out of there. Okay, cool. Now, let's get this plane, let's get our shape here a little closer, and we'll turn it just a tiny bit, and we're going to bring it up just a bit. Because at the end of the day, we don't need a big square chop here. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to refine this just a little bit, and I'm going to put a control spline down on the bottom. I'm going to add 1 point here. I'm going to go down 3 mil, and I'm going to add this. And now I have this line that I can manipulate and make a nicer shape, right? So let's bring that down, almost like a little smiley face, but not. Cool, exit sketching. Okay, now the bottom of this has a much nicer rounded surface to match our rounded design. So let's see what happens if we bring this up just a bit. We'll go up tiny bit, deselect, let's reselect, boom, boom, and now let's punch our hole and see what happens. Still too much. I can already tell it's carving through. See, it's carving right through the bottom. Okay, back. Let's do this instead. Let us take our design here. And you could tell why this part has been really challenging for me, especially with my lack of experience. I've only been doing this a very short while. So things take, sometimes it takes 1 or 2 tries to get it right, and that's okay. All right, so let's deselect that, and let's see what happens when we bore this hole. I can already see that this shape here, this necking here is a little too tight. It's too late now, we'll just have to work with it. But realistically, I can change this number here just by tapping it. So if I wanted to make this 90, boom, it grew it out a little bit. You could see how much bigger it became. Didn't really take too much away. The problem with that is now I don't like the bottom. So we'll bring out the bottom to 120. So we have a little bit more girth on the bottom. I like the bottom of this stand to look a little wider, right? Now it has a cool look. I really like the shape. I think out of all of the ones I've done so far, I think this is the best shape I've done. Just so happens that we're doing it live, which is cool. Okay, so let's get this back. Let's get our shape here. Let's bring this up. We're going to go up a couple of hits. Now I know I'm going to clear that shelf because you can see here at the very bottom of our shape that we're about to punch through, now the bottom is not intruding into the bottom of there. So let's do that together here. Let's highlight these, deselect, we're going to hit, and now we're going to punch these in. Boom. And as you can see, we did not disturb the lower part. But the problem that I don't like here is this lower cutout. I don't want that visible on the charger when the phone is off. So let's hit back. We need to move this shape, and we're going to move it to the point where we're going to turn it. We're going to rotate it a lot more, and we're going to move it up, and we're going to move it in. We're going to get this thing as close as we can to this surface without actually breaking the surface. Okay, so now we're looking good. Now we are past that outer lip that we want to have looking flush. We're deep enough in to where when the hockey puck charger goes in, it's not going to interfere because we're going to plunge this hole right now. So let's do that. Deselect, let's highlight our two shapes, and let's plunge this hole down. Boom, we have not interfered. Oh, hang on a second. What happened there? Now let's punch this through. Okay, cool, look at that. Now we have what we're looking for. Now we have that extrusion. We've got that hole, and it's not interfering with our outer shape here, and it's not interfering with this. As you can see, where this is in relation to the lower part of this, we're in the clear. We're good to go. So let's plug this bad boy in just about halfway through the body. So rough eyeballing, halfway through is right about there, I would say. Now, let's check this out. Due to the angle, we might actually be able to go straight through to the back and have one plunge, one hole. That's how I did the last one, and I think this one might actually work that same way. Now look at that. Perfect. We are done. We are done with the hole. We are done with the actual shape. Let's take this into visualization and get some color on it just so you guys have a little bit better of a sight of what's going on here. And you'll see the different parts we're manipulating and changing shapes on. And I'm doing nice bright colors. These wouldn't be the colors I chose. Not to say there's anything wrong with these two colors, but actually let's change that one out of the blue because that is the standard blue of Shaper 3D. And I don't like the two kind of, you know, anytime you highlight something, it turns that blue. So, okay, cool. All right, we've got our hole. We've got our stand. We've got the space for our wireless charger, right? Now we just want to refine some of the edges. I'm not crazy about going nuts here as far as like all sorts of chamfers. I want to just reduce the shape on here. As you can see, when you have a very flat surface, I had to go here, go through this with the, you know, the deburring tool and then a little rough sand. This isn't the final design. Keep in mind I've redesigned this, and the redesign has a very rolled lower. Not changing the lower too much, but let's get a little bit easier for the printer to make an edge without having a flat edge that kind of destroys the final design, so to speak. I like that. 0.5, actually no, we're radius 5 on there. Let's go radius 4. Let's take it back one. Perfect. Okay, now for the front. This piece, since these hockey puck chargers, they're not exactly flush straight-sided. They have a little bit of a chamfer or a little bit of a fillet. So we're going to put a number 1 on the fillet here. We're not going to go crazy. We're going to put a little fillet, 1, boom, and we're going to put a fillet on the edge here, just the same, 1, boom, and we're done. Okay, out the door, you could take this, put it to your, send it over to your file, export it, and print it right this second. Personally, I'm not a fan of sharp corners with rounded surfaces. So we're going to continue to refine this just a touch. We're going to do a chamfer on the edge here. We'll go out 1. 1 looks great. That looks really good. And we're going to decrease any sharpness of any of these corners here. So this we're going to pull out as far as we can go. Really stretch that out because, remember, you're not going to see this area. It's going to be covered. But you don't want the wires to be snagged on these things. So let me get rid of any of these sketches that were interfering. Okay, cool. So now we have these corners. I really like putting the fillets on my square tubes here. In actuality, it's turning them into almost rounded squares, which I like the look of that. So this, I think we can go 2, and it won't disturb our hole at all. We've got plenty of room still to get the wire in. Now we're going to do our little outside edges here. Boom. Whoop, not that one. And we're going to go 1. Let's see what a 1 does. Perfect. Look at that. That is absolutely perfect. Good stuff. Now let's get our fillet back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll go a 1 also on that. And we are done. That is it. That is your wireless charger in a nutshell. Basically, you saw this didn't take us more. Where are we at? We're at 26 minutes here. We're at 26 minutes. It didn't take too terribly long to create this, but at the same time, it's just getting the juices flowing. It's getting the creativity flowing. Your designs might be more industrial. Your designs might be more fluid like the ocean. Your designs may be the designs that you're really not happy with, or you love the designs. It doesn't matter what level you're on. I've only been doing this in September, right? And I've only been messing with Shaper 3D now for like 3 weeks. So the possibilities are endless. If you like to draw and you like to create, I really feel these are really cool programs to do so. And also, when it comes down to solving problems, that's why I like this device, is because not only can you create cool shit, but you're also able to solve problems. The toilet paper roll. I made a toilet paper roll holder. We didn't have one and I wanted to design one. Boom, I was able to do that. I wanted a wireless charging stand because I hate wires. I hate seeing wires. I hate wires that clutter. If you look here, you know, I have my one big light here. I tuck the wire under the carpet. I'm a big fan of concealing wires. Most of that came from way back in the day when I used to build car stereos, and we would have to find ways to hide the wires. And keep in mind, none of us were mechanics at this time. I hadn't been a mechanic professionally. We were kind of just hacking our way through it. But concealing the wires and only showing what you want to see is kind of where it's at. So with any kind of design that you're going to start to create that has electronics or wires, do your best to try to conceal them. So all of that is inside, out of sight, out of mind. Now look, check it out. You might have a design where you want to show the wire. It might be a part of the design. That's really cool too, and I can link some examples that I've seen on YouTube as well. But at the end of the day, if you look at this, this didn't take us too terribly long to do. Let me get the cam back. Okay. This didn't take us too terribly long to do, and we have an actual functioning product that we can go and use for ourselves or try to bring to market. At the end of the day, have fun with it, get creative, and just keep working at it. Nothing comes out perfect right away. You know how long it took me to get this plunge cut here perfect? For this one, it took a few times. But realistically, this took me all week to get the angle right, to get the correct hole right. I had made multiple prints that failed, meaning like the shape was right, but nothing fit, right? The wire didn't fit. Then the wire fit, but I couldn't get it to turn. So your best bet for something like this is exactly how we just did it. Get that straight plunge through so you don't have to worry about. And check this out. One of the cool things I just found out about Shaper, and I'm sure Fusion is the same way, I'm now inside of the design. Look at this. I'm inside of the design, and this is the tube inside. And I went so far as now it did it on its own because I hit chamfer. The other one, I had a couple of bends and angles, and I went inside and I started making these chamfers. Why did I do it? You're never going to see it. Does it really matter? No. What it does matter for is strength. Anything with a chamfer or a fillet that has added material is going to be stronger than a straight edge to edge. Because if you look at this, let's get a piece of paper, and this is like the best way I can describe this to you. If we get a standard edge, if you get a regular edge here, and you've got one edge and one edge, the two surfaces here, you've got surface A and surface B, and they're only joined by this one little corner here. Let's just forget, like pretend there's nothing behind it. Now, if you take that same corner and you add a reverse arc, right? Look, this arc has been used in construction for thousands of years due to its strength and all of that. So adding this additional curve here, keep in mind, it's not just a line of filament, it's a line plus all of this extra beef here. So having these chamfers and fillets not only give a visual aesthetic, but it also gives a strength purpose, right? Think of another example. Man, it was something that just passed through my mind. Okay, here's another example. For welders, anybody who welds pipes for a living, if you're a steam fitter, if you know welding, or if you've done welding, you know what I'm talking about. If you're going to weld two pieces of material, two pipes for instance, if you just butt these two pipes up together, your bead, your weld bead, let's say these are the two pipes now and this is the opening, your weld bead is only going to be touching these two outer corners. So when welders do pipes, they take their pipe and then they chamfer down the edge with a grinder. And then they have these two pipes next to each other. And what they're doing is they're building up level of weld, right? They're building up level and filling those two fillets. Those two fillets now have more surface area for that weld to adhere. Same concept here for 3D printing. That's why I do it. I do it for looks, but I also do it for the ability to have, you know, to have the structure, to have the strength in the structure. And that's it. That's a simple one-stop shop wireless charger that you can go ahead and create today. Everybody who's tuned in, thank you so much for tuning in. I know the lives are very short right now, and they're not like too crazy. The channel just started. Everybody who's supported the channel so far, you guys rock and roll. Thank you so much. And I will get a short out today, kind of just going over this. I got a bunch of stuff going on. We've got a family event happening here later on, so it's going to be just quick. But I'll see you guys in another short today, and thank you so much for stopping by. Check out the other videos if you're interested in this wireless charging design. I suggest checking out the long form video I did about like 5 or so days ago. It really went in a little deeper into some of the other designs that I had first prior to this one. Which one is going to be the end one, I don't know. Maybe I'll have both. But at the end of the day, I'm continually creating and continually working on it. That's it. Thanks. Have a good one. Happy Saturday. I'll see you guys soon.